Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting adventure of Mr. President. Um, it's been a little while, about a week or so, since I have touched this game. If I remember correctly, one of the biggest pains was we got a rogue state in the Eurozone. That is something we are going to have to deal with, unfortunately. A lot of terror groups just kind of all over the place. Not good. Still at war with the Taliban. I was hoping we would have been able to take them out the first year. That was not the case, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to do something about that now. So we will probably have to go to war with the rogue state over here too. But yeah, I suppose let's see where we're at. Not a whole lot going on with the conflict tracks. We did scrape by on the cyber warfare track, fortunately. Let's see, Congress still not cooperating very well. We do have a jog package creation bill. I think there's a couple things on our opponent's side too. Yeah, two bills from our opponents, two bills from our side, both around in the same spots. So hopefully we'll be able to push that job creation package up, take theirs down a little bit, but we'll see where we're at. Let me see. We're kind of mid-range on world opinion, media relations, homeland security. Decently high on relations with Congress. I think our public opinion is doing well too. Yeah, it's past that magic number of 60. We get some benefits if we are above 60 in various spots. I think where we are at right now. Oh yeah, our cabinet effectiveness is low. I think that got reduced because of our some stupid thing I can't remember. It was some role on the track that the cabinet drama table, something like that, which resulted in us getting very bad losing our awesome Secretary of State and getting bad Secretary of State. John Long, fortunately, has an extra action. Does not have any diplomacy though, which is what the Secretary of State wants. But we did not get much there. So I think where we left, let's see, China had acted already this turn, or this year, and we are currently on the first Ally Rogue Group Acts, and then we'll have some cabinet-focused stuff, which I think we got two tension counters there, so those won't actually go. But let's see where we are at, which allies and rogues will be going. Whoops. Where did I order? Oh, random. Okay, there we go. I think I accidentally ordered that weird. Okay, give it a quick shuffle, even though I don't think I needed to anyway. But looks like we are Allies Rogues Group B. So I'm going to need to grab my Ally Rogue chart. I never remember which group that is. Group B is going to be the UK, Japan, and North Korea. Alright, so let's check this out. These allies only act in their own region except for the UK, who can act in the Eurozone or Eastern Europe. So first we are going to activate the UK. I believe they are very close. Yes, UK is very close with us. So they will get two joint actions, and then we will go ahead and roll on their table. So perform a number of joint actions. We are going to get two of them. Let's see here. Regional alignment or stability, I guess, is what we are looking for. So stability is lower on Eastern Europe. We might roll for stability on Eastern Europe since the UK can act over there. And then we are probably going to... So yeah, that'll be the first thing we do, no matter what. So let's go ahead and attempt to stabilize the region. So we're going to roll a d10. -1 -1 DRM if the regional crises is at 0. Neither one is, so we will not get that bonus. But on a 1 through 4, we will increase the stability by 1 box on the stability track. So, like I said, I think we are going to aim for Eastern Europe, raise their stability. Let's see what we get. 1 through 4. That is not a 1 through 4, so that is a failure. Second action would have been to attack the terror group, but Since it is a rogue state now, we are not able to do that. Oh, one thing I should point out that I forgot. I was talking about a war with this rogue state. Anytime you do start a war action, you actually get a free cyber attack against whoever you are fighting against, rogue states included. I believe I've forgotten that every single time. So we will try to not forget that this time around, and we will hopefully get our free cyber attack on them. So, okay, so we tried to stabilize the region. Next thing we will want to do... humanitarian aid is not a bad idea. UK doesn't have any tension, so removing stress wouldn't do anything. There is currently not any other terror groups in the area, just a rogue state. So... Intel wouldn't do anything, Raid wouldn't do anything. Probably request humanitarian aid is probably going to be the best bet here. Let me check to see. UK's not in any conflict tracks. So, who would be the best target to try to decrease regional crises? Probably the Eurozone itself, honestly. Like kind of low in the middle, or kind of high, I guess I should say, in the Middle East and Central Asia. But let's go ahead and, if we do go to war with this rogue state, regional crises is going to go up. We are already at war here, so at the end of that, this crisis will probably go up also, so that would be another good thing to do. Maybe Japan will do that, though, since we won't have to stabilize Japan's region here. So, I think we are going to roll to lower regional crises in the Eurozone, so let's go ahead and do that. Roll a D10, no DRMs. And that is a 6. So 1 through 8 result decreases regional crisis in the chosen region by 1 box. So that is a success. That is a success. That is how I pronounce that. Alrighty, so next we're going to flip the tensions on UK. There are none to flip. So we are going to make roll a d10 on the unilateral action table for the UK. DRMs, -1 if no tension counters on the UK, so that is true. +1 per tension value on the UK, there weren't any. So we got a -1 so far. If Russian influence is in Eurozone, +1, there is a Russian influence there, so that we got a net value of 0 DRMs. +1 per level 3-4 terror group in the Eurozone. There isn't any more, there's just a rogue state. So still at net of 0. +1 if Russia-NATO conflict value is greater than 1. Russia-NATO conflict track is greater than 1, so that's going to be a +1. +1 per current war, including US forces. Also a +1, so we're going to get a net of +2 on this roll. So 4. 4 + 2, that's going to be 6, looking at our chart. Oppose the bear. Remove 1 Russia influence from Eurozone or Eastern Europe. Wonderful. That's a good one. I like that. Let's go ahead and... I'm going to do Eastern Europe because I believe Russia seems to have more of a chance of adding influence into Eastern Europe than they do Eurozone, so I'm going to remove that one. So that is good. Good on the UK. Apply results of the action roll. Remove all of UK's flipped tension counters and replace with half, rounded down. So there are none, so none will be replaced. Moving on to Japan, we are going to do the same procedure. Japan is also a very close ally. They do have a lot more tensions on them at the moment. But they are a close ally, or a very close ally, so they're going to get 2 joint actions. We do not have to stabilize the region. They are already at max stability over there. So request UN humanitarian aid, I think, is going to be our first roll at the moment. And I think we are going to do that for Central South Asia. So let's go ahead and roll for that. 9, that is not going to do it. 9 has no effect. Unfortunate. Next thing we are going to do, we do have a terror group in the region, so we could possibly do intel. force, de-escalate. They do have a conflict track. Do we want to de-escalate that one? China, Japan. Status is already at 1, so we do not need to de-escalate that. So probably just intel. Let's see here. Locate any terror group in the region, choose a terror group, then place group in the gather intel box in the region, or if they were already in the intel track, move them to the next level. UK gets 2 successes per joint action, not Japan, unfortunately, so let's just go ahead and put that in the gathering box. And we are good for Japan. Now we will uncover their tensions. They do have plenty. Let's see how much we got. Lots of them. I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so 5 tensions. Now we will move to the Japanese unilateral action table. DRMs, -1 if no tension counters on Japan. That's not true. +1 per tension value on Japan, so that's going to be a +5. +1/2 rounded down current conflict status value of China, Japan. We looked at that, that was 1, so it's going to be 1/2 rounded down, which would be 0. So +5, but we have a +4 max DRM for this, so we are going to roll at a +4. So 3 + 4 is going to be 7. That is going to be humanitarian aid to decrease regional crisis track by 1 box in any one region. Alright, so we wanted to lower that on Central South Asia, so let's go ahead and do that. So that wasn't so bad. So now we are going to return these and replace with half rounded down, which is going to be 2. Excuse me. 1 and 2 tension counters. Alrighty, that was Japan. Now we are going to move to North Korea. Flip over any tension counters and sanction counters on North Korea and sum their values. I don't think there's actually any on them right now. Then we are going to roll a d10, refer to their action chart, and apply the listed DRMs. For North Korea, their DRMs are -1 if no tensions, so that is true, so we got a -1. Plus or minus the net of tensions and sanction values, so it's going to be 0, still at -1, plus 1/2 status value, North-South Korea conflict track, rounded up. So that's going to be 2, half of that's going to be 1, so we are at a -1, plus 1, so we are at a net of 0, plus 2 if current relative strength favors North Korea. It does not at the moment, it is neutral. So we are at a net value of 0 DRM, so just a d10 roll. And a 9. 8 through 9, cyber attacks, plus 1 regional crisis, roll a d10. Excuse me. Rolling a d10, that will get us a 10. Oh my goodness, alright. 6 plus, cash funds, let's see what cyber attacks, blah, 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 blah. Cash funds, North Korea ops, roll again on this table for a second action. If this result occurs on second roll, perform 6 through 7, destabilize ROK instead. Alright, so unfortunately we are rolling again for North Korea. That is a 1. So 2 or less. DPRK complaint, remove all sanction counters from North Korea, which they didn't have any anyway, so cool. Alright, that wasn't so bad. Then we will... I think that is about it. Well, that was not so bad. I was expecting worse. Let's see. Apply results, remove all tension counters, remove all sanction counters, replace them all. There weren't any, so we are good to go. Then we check unstable states. Roll a d10 once for each unstable state counter in the Eurozone and Eastern Europe areas. There is an unstable state counter in Eastern Europe, so we're going to roll for that. We got a 6. That is going to be keep unstable state on map, so nothing too bad. Let's see. Oh, there were DRMs based on regional stability. Regional stability is 6. So it would be a -1, so it would actually be a 5. So same result though. Keep unstable state on map. And that is it for that ally rogue nation activation. Next thing we do is the POTUS cabinet focus action. So we're going to roll over here on our cabinet focus chart. Let's double check over here. Rush X, do stuff, do things and stuff, blah blah blah. Where are we at? Did I already miss it? I was not keeping up here. Set POTUS, Russia, China, any 3 actions, ally rogue. Here we go. Okay. And then I believe we will remove a tension counter. I always forget that part, so that's what I was looking for. But since we have tension counters on spots 6 and 5, we will not roll for them. So we'll roll on 4. So public press relationship, we get a success on a 1 through 3. Let's see what we got. And that is a 1. That is success. So either +3 to public opinion, public appreciation, or +1 to public opinion and +1 to media relations. I think that's what we're going to do. We are going to up our media relations and up our public approval. Put that up there. That was 4. Number 3, Homeland Security. Again, we have a success on a 1 through 3. That is a 6. That's not going to do it. Number 2, Cabinet Effectiveness. We are going to get a success on a 1 through 4. That is a success. So we are going to roll a d6 and see what we get. 4. +3 presidential APs. I would have actually preferred to have rolled on the cabinet thing. So we will get +3. That's not bad, though. And number 1, address domestic crises. Success on a 1 through 5. Just can't have a 6. That is a 1. -1 to domestic crises if already 0. It is not, so we get to just lower that domestic crises. Perfect. Then, like I said, I believe we get to take off a tension counter. Oops. Did not mean to drop it there. Take off a tension counter from there, so that is free to do stuff now. Next, we have -1 to media relations. Fortunately, we upped it. 2 domestic actions. So let me get out my master charts here. Oops. I don't know what I just did. There we go. Okay. Alright, domestic master actions. So, domestic master actions. We can do presidential or domestic actions. The first thing that I still think we should do is encourage bipartisanship, because that has been the hardest thing to keep up currently. So let's go ahead and do that. That takes 1 action and 1 AP. So we will spend an AP. We're going to roll a d6. We do not have any DRMs to this roll. Let's see what we got. That's a 6. That's not good. So we are going to spend a presidential AP to re-roll that. Let's see what we get. Have to take the second result. That's a 5. No effect. Unfortunate. Limit 1 successful result per activation segment. So we could actually try it again if we wanted to. Is there anything else we want to do? Party fundraising and support. Our party relations are fine at the moment. Improve relations with Congress, we're good there. Address domestic crisis, we actually just lowered that. Stimulate economy, that's not bad. Our economy did go down 1. You know what? I'm gonna do bipartisan support in Congress again. Let's try. Second roll. That's a 6 again. God damn it. So we had to spend 1 to do the action again. We're gonna spend another 1 to re-roll. That's not what we want. We are rolling terribly right there. 3. I think that is no effect also. Yep, no effect. Unfortunate. So we just wasted both actions there. Legislative segment. I always have to read the book on this one again. Alright, perform legislative segment. Determine support opposition to pending bills. We do have pending bills, so total separately the sum of the legislative rating of all your friends in the congressional friends box, then subtract the total rating of your congressional opponents. Treat results of less than 3 or greater than -3. What is that? Greater than 3 or less than -3 as 3 and -3 respectively. If the result is positive, you may move that number of bills, either yours or your opponent's, one box in either direction on the pending bills track. You may move that number. Okay, so I think we have more congressional power than our. So we got 3 plus 1 is going to be 4, minus 1 is going to be 3. So we get to move 3 different bills in whichever direction we want. So we are going to move this up. We are going to move this down. Excuse me. Now, do we want to move this up or do we want to move this down? What was NASA? That is our campaign promise. I think we want to move. You know what? Let's move this down, is what we're going to do. So, move 2 of our opponent's bills down, 1 of our bills up. So, I think we are good there. Opponents succeed. Attempt to pass pending bills. If no pending bills, skip the step. The number in the current box in the bipartisan cooperation section is the number of bills that we can attempt to pass, which is 1 currently. If you control both houses of Congress, we don't. It's currently split. So control split, roll a d6 to see who chooses the first bill to pass. Even you, odd opponents. So we want even. That is even. All right, so we get to choose which bill we will try to pass. So obviously we are going to try for the job creation package. To attempt to pass a bill, roll a d6 and apply the DRM from the pending box the bill is currently in, which is going to be a -1. On a modified result of 1 through 3, the bill is passed and is sent to you to sign or veto. So on a roll of 1 through 3, the bill is going to be passed. We got a -1 DRM. Let's see what we get. It's going to be 3 minus 1 is 2, so that bill is passed. Hooray! Sign or veto bills. If no bills are passed, skip the step. For any bill that is passed, roll on the effects of past legislation table on D5. So we are going to look at our domestic charts. I feel like I've got a cold coming on, so I may be coughing somewhat this stream. All right. So D5. Before a bill is signed or vetoed, roll a D6 and consult the chart below to determine the quality of the bill. The legacy points you receive from it, half the listed value rounded down for an opponent's legislation. The consequences if you do decide to veto, and what its game effects will be. So DRMs are -1 if bipartisan cooperation is on the rightmost track. It's not. +1 if it's on the leftmost. It's also not. So I don't think we get any DRMs here. Each time you sign an opponent's legislation, -1 party relations, move bipartisan cooperation 1 box right. Each time your roll is adjusted, each time you roll an adjusted 1 or less on the chart below, it becomes a landmark bill. If we roll a 6, I believe it's a defunctional bill. So let's see what we get. The quality of our bill here is a 4. I think it's just going to be a normal bill. Good bill. Good bill. Good bill. Let's see here. All counters will stay on the indicated side permanently. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we have a good bill. If we will get 0 legacy points if we choose to sign it for a good bill. We will sign it, obviously. Let's see what our consequences are. So, job creation package, pass bills. Alright, that is number 6, job creation package. We will get +2 public approval and +1 AP. Not the worst. And +1, +2 public approval. Cool. And I think that is it. Then we get additional rewards for passing legislation that is a public priority or administration priority. If the bill passed is currently a public administration or administration priority, or both, immediately receive the rewards listed below, in addition to any received from the bill-specific rewards above. So public priorities. This is number 1 on public priorities currently. So we get +2 legacy points, +3 public approval. Alright, so +2 legacy points, nice. And +3 public approval. Unfortunately, we can only go as high as 70, so we miss out on the other stuff. And it is also number 3 on our priorities. So that is going to give me +2 APs. Also not bad. It was not a campaign promise. And I think that is it. Excuse me. Sign or veto bills. If you sign to place the pass legislation box, if you veto it, so add legislative friends or opponents. If you pass or signed a landmark bill, it was not a landmark bill. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Not something we need. How sausage is made. Roll d6 and refer to the Congressional Maneuvering and Drama table. Alright. I think we have DRMs for this. DRMs, -1 if bipartisan cooperation is in the rightmost box. It's not. We have a hard time keeping it anywhere past this box here. +1 if bipartisan cooperation is in either of the 2 leftmost boxes. It is, so we are going to get a +1 at least. -1 if relationship with Congress is 7 or greater. It is, so we got a net of 0. +2 if relationship with Congress is 3 or less. It's not. -1 if public approval is greater than 60. It is, so we've got a -1. +2 if public approval is less than 30. -1 if friends outnumber opponents in Congress. It does, so we've got a net of -2 currently. +2 if it's a second roll due to bipartisan cooperation being in the leftmost box. So we have a, what do we got? A D6 -2. Let's see what we got. It's going to be 4 -2 is going to be 2. New friends, better relations, turncoats, and scoundrels. If relationship with Congress is 7 or greater, which it is, either move a bill of your choice 1 box to the left in the pending bills area, or draw and add a new friend in Congress. If neither is possible, +1 AP. So we could attempt to move our bill over to the left. That wouldn't be so bad. Or we could draw a new friend, which also wouldn't be so bad. I think we have enough friends compared to our enemies at the moment. Let's go ahead and move this over. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, I think we are good then. Introduce new bills. Remove all bills currently in the cannot be passed box and place them in the unused bills box. So their tax reform bill cannot be passed is getting removed and putting back into the rotation. You may now voluntarily remove any of your, not your opponent's bills, currently in any of the boxes of the pending section. Note, because you can never have more than 5 bills in the pending box, you'll sometimes want to remove some of yours. The number in the current box in the bipartisan cooperation section is the number of bills that are now introduced. If you control both houses, we do not. So we're going to roll a d6 to see who gets to choose the bill. Even is our party. Odd is the opposing party. Let's see what we get. It is odd, unfortunately. So, I think energy independence is already on there. Tax reform is going to go back as the opponent's bill. Boo. Alright, unfortunate. Place the bills introduced in the 0 box. If there is split control. There is split control. Determine media result total and then compare the media ratings of all friends and opponents. Then move public approval that number of boxes. I think we still win that. So public approval would go up 1 box, but we are already at the max. Yes. Scandal investigation. Skip no scandals. No scandals. Adjust bipartisan cooperation. There are more radicals than moderates, so it's going to go down again. Legislative momentum. Perform 1 immediate free action of any type for each of your, not your opponent's bills that were passed and signed during this activation segment. You also get an immediate free action if you confirmed a Supreme Court justice or passed a Greater Society bill. So we did pass a bill. That was ours. So we get 1 immediate free action. What are we going to do? I tend to like to remove influence. So we can actually try to remove one of these Chinese influence. Do we have... Oh, we do have alignment in Africa here now, so we can also try to remove an influence there. Let's go ahead and try for South America currently. Let's do that. Alright, so attempt to remove Chinese or Russian influence counter in the region. We are going to roll a d10. We need a 1 through 6. We can do this because regional alignment is at 6 and regional crises is at 0. So we'll roll d10, no DRMs. Need a 1 through 6. That's a 1. Perfect. So we will remove a Chinese influence. Well done. Oops. And go in there. Go in your home. There you go. All right, let's count influence real quick. For Russia, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like for China, we've got... Oh, I forgot there was 2 Chinese influence in here. I guess we wouldn't have been able to remove it here because crises is at 1. So for China, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jeez. Yeah, we need to work on getting rid of some of that influence. I think that is it then. So that was a legislative segment. Now we're going to draw a crisis chit. See what we got. We're going to draw 2 crisis cards. Put that right there. Put that right there. Flip this over. See what we got. Looks like a terrorism event. Not good. +1 to regional crisis in Asia Pacific. Ugh. That's not looking good. Increase any level 3, 2, or 1 terror group in that priority in Asia by 1 level. So we've got a level 2 group. It's going to turn into a level 3 group. I'm glad we got that on the track at least. What was this? Rash of bombings of government buildings in Manila. If there are none, place a new level 2 group there. Roll a d10. See what we got. It's an 8. 8 through 10, Manila blames China for supporting destabilizing acts. +1 regional crisis in Asia Pacific and add a tension counter to China. What was the other one? Philippine government asks for U.S. counter-terror help. If you already have special ops unit in Asia, or choose now, blah, 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 blah. Reduce terror group. Oh, that would have been nice. Yeah, okay. So, +1 regional crisis, which is going to put them in the major crisis spot. Unfortunate. So, we are going to go to our world charts and see what happens with this major crisis. Major crisis table. If a major regional crisis breaks out, -2 public approval. Then roll a d10 and apply the result below. Then move the regional crisis counter back to the 2 box on the crisis level track. So we have some DRMs here. -1, 2, or 3 if regional stability is 6, 7, or 8 respectively. So we do have a -3. Stability is high. +2 or 1 if regional stability is 3 or 4 respectively. It's not. -1 per very close U.S. ally in the region. So we have a -3. We have 2 very close allies in the region. So we've got a -5 net currently. +1 per non-ceasefire civil war in the region. There's no civil wars. +2 if there is at least 1 war other than a civil war. Nope. +1 per game-created rogue state in the region. So we have a -5. Max is -4. So we are going to roll a d10 -4. At least we have a good DRM modifier here. That's 3 -4. So 1 or less, add 1 level 1 terror group to the region. So that's not so bad. I'll take that. And this goes back down to 2. There is no refugee crisis with this roll. Excuse me. Yeah, no refugee crisis with this roll. And we are good there. And then we add a tension counter to China. And then we discard this. Alright, second crisis card. Your 9/11 anniversary speech spurs an outpouring of patriotism and cooperation. Very nice. +2 public approval. Go back to 70. Nice. +1 relationship with Congress. Very nice. Move bipartisan cooperation to right 1 box. Wow, well done. Then roll a d10. 7. Randomly remove 1 congressional opponent. Very nice. This card was just all good. Awesome. Grilled Cheese Sandy says, man, this really feels like a game I think I'd like, but I don't have 40 hours set aside to learn. Yeah, so this game is awesome. It takes a while to get used to it. You can actually... So the game suggests that you just kind of jump right into it. It kind of walks you through part of your first turn, which was nice. The main thing that took such a long time when I first played the game was there's so many, there's just a stack of books and charts that you have to reference, and you have no idea to start with where you're looking or what you're looking for. Like, I would look for something, and it would say, do this thing, and I would look up something, and it would have some term that I'm like, what does this mean? And then I'll have to go find out what this means, and then I'll be like, how can I affect this? And I'll have to go find out what you do there. So it takes a while. If you know what you're doing, a game can take up to 10 hours still. This is not a game that you sit down and expect to complete right away. 100%. It is a ton of fun if you do put the time into it. It's good stuff all around. But yeah, it takes so long. Anyway, Dora is taking a hike, getting rid of that opponent. Our 9/11 speech got rid of our congressional opponent, which was nice. And that goes into the reshuffle pile. That's a good card. So pop that right back down there. All right, so that was our crisis chit there. So now we are going to do focused national intelligence. Yes, it is strictly solo. They do say that you can play with other people, but like you just all be making decisions on stuff. Sometimes like I think I saw some people talking about like having different people do different stuff, like having one person be like the chief of staff and they would do domestic stuff, and having one person be the secretary of state doing diplomatic stuff. That seemed like a cool thing, but yes, for the most part, it is just a strictly solo game. I think it's sold out on GMT right now, but I want to say like Cool Stuff Inc. or something had some in stock still. But if you get the actual version of it, it takes a lot of table space, takes a lot of time, like we talked about. Still a fun game. If you have cats, it is a little precarious because my cats have knocked over the board at one point, so I had several hours sunk into it, and my cats decided we're just going to blow up the world. Seems neat. Haven't seen it on BGA, just TTS. Yes. So the weird thing about the tabletop simulator version of this, I guess it's not too weird, but they don't actually have any of the booklets or charts except for like this main turn sequence booklet. So you actually still have to have the game in order to play it on tabletop simulator, unless I guess you can find like the books online possibly. I have no idea. But yeah, so like I said, stack of charts, stack of booklets you have to reference. I have the game, so I can reference them, but you aren't actually able to if you don't have the books on Tabletop Simulator, so it makes it a little difficult. Where did we place our national security tokens? Middle East, looks like. Did we have 2? I think we just had the 1. Yeah, we just had the 1 around here. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, please, enjoy yourself. Basically, it's just me moving a bunch of chits on the board here. Taking a long time, talking to myself about the next actions I want to do. But yeah, please enjoy yourself. I hope it's entertaining. It is a fun game once you get into it. Alright, so I need to look. Let's pop in here. I think this has what we need. Yes, alright. Perform Focus National Intelligence. So, if you have the Exceptional White House resource card, we do not. So, we are going to roll on the Focus National Intel Collection table for each region that has an FNI counter to determine the effects of your focused intel, which we currently only have in the Middle East, I believe. We can move it after that. So, what are our DRMs, which are dice roll modifiers? -1 if strategic recon intel gathering strategic capability is higher than both Russia's and China's. I believe it is. I think we are substantially higher than them. Yes, so we will get a -1 there. -1 if cyber warfare strategic capability is higher than both Russia and China's. We just barely squeaked them out. They were ahead of us last turn. We got a boost at the beginning of this turn, so we are ahead of them. So we got a net of -2. +1 if either Russia or China has an influence counter in the region and their cyber strategic capability is greater than the US. So they do have influence in the region, but their cyber capability is not greater than us. So we have a net of -2 for our roll. So we're going to roll a d10, -2. We got a 2, -2. That's going to be 0. Very good. All right, so effects on terrorism, move a level 3, 2, 1 in that priority terror group in the region to the targeting box. Wonderful. So we're going to move this level 3 terror group to the targeting box. If there are any remaining terror groups in that region that are not in the intel boxes, move a level 3, 2, or 1 in that priority terror group to the gathering box. So we do have a level 2. We're going to move that to the gathering box. Effects on war, pre-war intel. If you go to war with one of your military actions in this segment, you receive an additional -1 surprise bonus to the initial war progress die roll. I don't think we are going to be going to war. Maybe stuff will change, but I don't think we will. But if U.S. or U.S. allies currently involved in a war in the region, they are not. If there's a civil war in the region, there is not. You may choose to share intel, blah, 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 blah. Now that we are done with that, I'm pretty sure we did that just to, I think we popped that in there to keep that level 3 terror group under wraps. Now we can move this. I think we are going to move this over here. We do have a war with the Taliban over here in Central South Asia, so that token's going to give us a -1 DRM to our war roll, which will help a little. Let's see here. I think that is about it, though. If there is a civil war in the region, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that is it for that. So we're going to do any 4 diplomatic and or military actions. Now, diplomatic and military stuff. What are things we need to do? So we have Chinese influence in Africa and Central South Asia. I think the first thing we want to do is attempt to remove one of those. We can only do one of those per segment. One of those attempts per segment. So I believe we can't do it in Central South Asia yet because we can do it just straight up if we have regional alignment at 7 or 8. It's only at 6. So in order to do it here, we would have to have regional crisis level at 0. We do have that for Africa, so we could try there. Or we could just start with trying to lower their regional crisis level. Which I think I'm going to do because China has a tendency to pop influence over in Central South Asia pretty easily. So let's go ahead for our first. So we've got 4 moves here. So for our first one, we are going to spend an action to do some crisis relief in Central South Asia. So minus number for our diplomatic rating. So we have a bad Secretary of State, John Long. He does not have any diplomatic rating, unfortunately. So there's not going to be a DRM for that. -1 if regional stability is 6 or higher. Regional stability is at the very bottom, so that is not the case. So we're going to roll a d10, no DRMs. 2, not bad. All right, decrease regional crisis level by 1 box. That is exactly what we wanted. So that took one of our actions there. Next action is going to be to attempt to remove a Chinese or Russian influence counter in that region. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to be a DRM, no DRM, sorry. So just a d10 roll. Need a 1 through 6. That's going to be a 7, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and spend an AP to re-roll that. Even worse. Alright, so that did not work. Did take one of our actions. Unfortunately, we did not get to remove an influence. That sucks. But we do still have 2 more actions to go. Let's see here. I think... So we might want to use a military action to deal with this level 3 terror group here. I don't really want that to get any higher. So think we are going to... Yeah, we will perform a raid over in the Middle East. So that is an action. We can do a special ops raid on terror group in the region. Target terror group must be in the target fixed box on the intel track of the region. Roll for that. WM2 is the chart we're going to look for. Here we go. Special Forces raid and strike charts. Alright, so DRMs. If there is a U.S. Special Ops and U.S. Intel counter in the region, there is U.S. Special Ops and Intel, so we got a -1 there. -1 if there's a Focus National Intel counter in the region. We just got rid of that, so we do not have that there. -2 if it's a UK, NATO, or joint ally raid in the Eurozone or Eastern Europe. That's not the case. -2 if it's an Israeli raid. That's also not the case. +1 if target is a level 3 or 4 terror group. It is, so we got a +1 there. Net of 0 currently. +1 if there's a combined total of 3 Russia and or China influence counters or a base in that region. So 2, we just barely squeaked by on that, so it looks like we've got a net of 0 DRM, so it's just going to be a D10 roll. 8, not as good. Terrorists alerted and move at 11th hour. Mission recalled without publicity. Move terror group to the locating target box on the intel track. That sucks. So we move that down here. We have not been doing so good here. Okay, so next action we could try to do an airstrike on them now since they're not in the targeting box anymore. We could have done an airstrike on them before. Maybe we should have just done that. Or we could try to do a cyber attack on the rogue state in the Eurozone. I think that's one of our other options here. What can we gain from that? Let's see. What DRMs do we have for that? Up to +3 to match the difference in cyber strategic capability with Russia and China. So we would just get a -1 from that. -1 if attack is against North Korea, Iran, or a rogue state. So we would get a -2 to our roll. Decrease the terror group. Decrease a terror group in the region. Rogue state detects encounters. We would want a 2 or less. That's not really that great of odds. I think we want to we might just have to go to war with that rogue state, unfortunately. But I think for now, I think we will do an airstrike in the Middle East. Yeah. So we get to perform 2 airstrikes on target terror groups. So obviously the level 3 terror group is going to be the first one. Level 2 terror group will be our next target. So WM3 again. Where are we at? Okay, here we go. WM2 is what we're looking for. Airstrike, don't strike, drone strike table. So DRM is -1 if the U.S. Intel count. If there's a U.S. Intel counter, there is. So we got a -1. We do not have a focused national Intel counter. Target groups are not in the target fixed box. There is an Air Force token in the area. +1 if there's a combined total of +3. There is not, so we get a -1 altogether. So D10 -1. First one is the level 3 group. 6 -1 is going to be 5. Strike is effective because of civilian casualties. Let's see, so this is an airstrike, so add 1 to the terror group losses in the results for 1 through 6. So decrease terror group by 1 level, so it will decrease it by 2 since it was an airstrike, and we have an Air Force there. Place a U.S. military footprint counter in the region. Unfortunate. -1 public approval. If airstrike, -1 UN goodwill, or if none to lose, place a trending anti-U.S. counter in the region. C, yeah, so it's going to be a -1 public approval. We don't have... Oh, we do have UN goodwill, so we're going to lose that, unfortunately. Boo. Alright. At least we don't get a trending anti-US token there. So, second airstrike. Let's see, by one level. Yeah, okay, so second airstrike is going to be against the level 2. So we got rid of that level 3. It's a level 1 group now, fortunately. Second airstrike is going to be against this level 2 one. Same DRMs, which is going to be a -1. It's 2 -1. That is going to be good. Surgical strike kills key terror leaders. Survivors scatter. Decrease terror group by 1 level, which is raised by 1 because we have an air force there, so it goes down 2 levels, so we destroy that terror group. Decrease terror group by 1 level, +1 public approval if target level 2 or 1 or 2. It was, so we get +1 public approval. Move terror group to the gathering box. It is gone now, so we don't have to do that. So that worked out a lot better. So we got rid of that terror group altogether. Lowered the level 3 to a level 1. That was better than the other stuff we did. Alright, so that is it. We're going to do some crisis chits again. So we are over in activation phase 2. So drawing a crisis chit here. And we have +1 random regional crisis. Let's see what we get. 3. So that is going to be Central America. We raise the crisis level by 1. There is a plus sign on that crisis chit, so we do draw another one. And that is draw 2 crisis cards. Let's see what we got. First one is Influential Congressman caught in a web of lies. Roll a d6 to determine which congressman. Three. 1 through 3, Congressional Friend, random from Friends box, or draw 1 if none in Friends box. Random from Friends. So one of our random friends is caught in a lie, unfortunately. So let's say even for Sally, odd for Juliet. So this is going to target even for Sally. Let's see what we got. Congressional opponent. If result is friend, either disavow their actions and remove the friend from the friend's box, place in the cup, +2 public approval, and bipartisan cooperation goes 1 right, or stand by the friend, +1 party relations, -1 public approval, bipartisan cooperation box moves to the left. Alright. It's so hard to move the bipartisan cooperation box, or at least it has been in this game. We don't really need the public approval, so we could get away with losing that, gaining party relations. I don't want the bipartisan cooperation thing to go down, though. Stand by friend. If the result is opponent, either defend them and remove the opponent from the opponent's box. +1 public approval, or attack them. Interesting. Okay. So this is an interesting choice. I kind of want the friend to stay there. Although we did get rid of the opponent, so just having 1 friend seems fine. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, let's get rid of that. There's other ways to get friends. There's other ways to get opponents too. That might have been a bad idea. Who knows? Clown's down though. Let's do it. So disavow the friend. Let's see here. +2 public approval. It's already max. Bipartisan cooperation moves 1 to the right. It's so hard to move that, so let's do that. That goes to the reshuffle. In our next crisis card, the past is prologue, domestic crisis. A long festering domestic crisis erupts. Refer to the domestic past as prologue chart, D13, and follow the procedure there to identify and resolve the crisis. All right. So that is in the domestic booklet, D13. Past is prologue, domestic events. When you draw the past is prologue card, roll a d6 and immediately apply the results below. Are there any DRMs? Nope, just a straight up d6 roll. 6. Alright. Subprime lending and liquidity crisis takes the U.S. and world banking system to the brink of disaster. Decrease U.S. state of economy 3 boxes? Jesus. Alright. So this sucks. 1, 2, 3. All right. Decrease public approval 5 boxes. Oh my God, this is awful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still pretty high public approval, fortunately. Let's see here. -1 stability in all world regions. Jesus Christ, what is? All right. -1 stability to all world regions. All right, that sucks. What is this? I've never had this before. This is crazy. Value here. We don't have to reduce that because it's already at the worst. Boop. 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 This may be the worst crisis event I've ever had. Holy crap. Place a trending anti-US marker in all world regions. What is going on? Jesus Christ. Alright, so that's gonna go away. That's gonna get an anti. That's gonna get an anti. That's gonna get an anti. That's gonna get one. Everybody gets an anti-US trending. Jesus. That's gonna go away. And we're gonna move that over here. Alright. Increase US lingering domestic issues by 1 box. Holy crap. Move bipartisan cooperation marker 1 right. The depth and immediacy of the crisis makes both parties a little more willing to negotiate. Well then. The game's LDI bill now becomes a bipartisan emergency bill that bails out key financial institutions and authorizes the Federal Reserve to use extraordinary measures to stabilize the money supply and the banking system, regardless of where that bill is in the game, in pending legislation or not. Place it on the pending bills track, 1 box to the left of where you would normally place it, based on party control of Congress. Then immediately make a D6 roll to determine whether the bill passes. Lingering domestic issue. Alright, so that's going to go here, I suppose, since it's split control. Place it in the pending bills track, 1 box to the left, 1 box to the left of where you would normally place it. So that's going to go over here. Alright. Then immediately make a D6 roll to determine whether the bill passes, simulating the emergency session of Congress to address the crisis. If it does not pass, it remains where it is on the pending legislation track, and you can attempt to pass it normally during the next legislative segment. Alright, so we need a 1 through 3. We got a -1. So we need a modified roll of 1 through 3. God damn it. Bill does not pass. If it had, we could have increased all U.S. and Europe state of economy tracks by 1. -1 domestic crisis. So we wanted that to pass very much. So place a trending pro-U.S. marker in all world regions. Oh my god. So once you've passed the emergency LDI bill once, you may introduce with a normal process introducing bills and pass the emergency LDI bill 1 more time during the game, representing 2 TARP bills that were passed historically. If it passes again, apply the same benefits as when it passed the first time. Unless the emergency LDI bill has passed twice, you've done all you can to address this crisis, and the LDI bill reverts to its normal game usage. So once you've passed it once, you may introduce it with the normal process of introducing bills and pass the emergency LDI bill 1 more time. Alright, so it becomes a bipartisan emergency bill that bails out key financial banking placed on the pending bills track. Alright, so it looks like we can still pass this during the normal legislative process and still get these benefits. Let's see, 1 more time during the game. If it passes again, apply the same benefits as when it was passed the first time. Once the emergency LDI bill has been passed twice. Okay. That's insane. Wow, this was bad. This was very, very bad. That was crazy. All right, and it goes in the reshuffle pile. Wow, that was possibly the worst thing I've seen so far in this game. Jeez. And we get another crisis chit. Let's see what we get. Draw 2 more crisis cards. Oh my god. Let's get something good. Hezbollah fires rockets into northern Israel. +1 regional crisis in the Middle East. Getting pretty high up there. Place 2 tension counters on Israel. 1, 2. Roll a d10 for Israel's response. Let's see what we got. That's going to be an 8. Special Forces raid kills Iranians in Lebanon. Place 2 tension counters on Iran and 1 tension counter on Israel. 2 on Iran, 1 on Israel. And yeah, at least they didn't launch war. Increase conflict check by 1 box. Yeah, alright. So that goes in the reshuffle pile. And let's see the next card. Social Security insolvency debate rages. +1 domestic crisis. If you already passed a landmark Social Security bill, +2 public approval, ignore the rest of this card, and then goes this card. If Social Security legislation is currently in Congress, move the bill left by 1 box. Do we have Social Security? No. No, we do not. If not already in Congress, place Bill number 1, Social Security, in the -1 box as opponent's legislation. Unfortunate. Move Social Security to the number 1 spot on the public priority track. Let's see here. Do we have Social Security on there at all? Nope. Okay. So, public priority track. Let's go ahead and search that. Social Security. Put that in there. Social Security becomes the number 1 focus. Alright. Move Social Security to the number 1 public priority track. If relationship with Congress is 5 or less, roll a d6. We have 8 relationship with Congress, so we are good there. So we do not have to do that. So media slant, though. So I believe we have high media relations, so we actually get a public approval from the media slant. And this goes into the discard. Wow, that... Oh, man. We need to pass that legislative, or that lingering domestic issue legislation. Holy crap. That was nutty. All right. So, any 3 actions. Jesus. We can do any 3 actions. So, I think... Holy crap, that was bad. So first thing is first. So we want to lower that. We want to get a influence out of Central South Asia, and I think we want to try to stimulate the economy because oh wow. So let's go and do that. So diplomatic master actions first. We are going to. Let's see here. Attempt to remove Chinese or Russian influence counter in 1 region. We're going to do it right there. So we're going to roll. We need a 1 through 6. That is a 4, so we do succeed there. How many did we have? 3 actions? Yeah. So we go down to 2. Let's go ahead and try to give crisis relief to the Middle East. So we are going to roll a d10, -1 for your diplomatic rating of Secretary of State, which is 0. -1 if regional stability is 6 or higher. It is not. So it is just going to be a d10 roll. That's going to be a 4. Decrease regional crisis in the region by 1 box. I'm fine with that. Seems good. So we've got 1 left. And... are we going to... I think we're just going to try to stimulate the economy. We could address a domestic issue. Try to get that down. We will have, since lingering domestic issues went up, we are going to get a +1 modifier, unfortunately, I think. Yes, we will. Unfortunate. So we could address that domestic issue, or we could try to attempt to stimulate the economy. Procedure. All that will do is put an improving econ, but we got to do something. That is, it's bad. It's in the toilet right now. Yeah, we're gonna get. Oh my god, that's so bad. We're gonna lose a friend from that too. Holy crap. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's attempt to stimulate the economy. So one action, optional cost of 2 APs. Let's do that. We need to do something. So 1, 2. Make a state of economy check. D18. So our state of economy is 3, so we need a 3 or lower. Oh crap. Yeah. So we do not have an awesome treasury secretary. Improve economy is not the #1 POTUS cabinet focus. -2 if we spent 2 APs. We did, so we're going to have a D10 -2. We need a 3 or less. Nope. So that would be a 5. Let's go ahead and spend an AP to try to reroll that. So same deal. D10 -2. Hey, there we go. All right. So that was a pass. Place improving econ counter on the U.S. state of economy track. Very much needed. Whew, that was... I'm still reeling from that insanity. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a core support check. So, if I remember correctly, the core support check... Let me double check that. Yeah, so during this segment, adjust your public approval rating according to your core support number of your party relations track. We move it closer towards 40% for whatever number it is. So I think we lose 1 public approval if I'm reading that correctly. Yes, so -1 public approval. Still at 60, which is that magic number we want for public approval. Now we will do either terror or chaos. So let's roll a d10 to see if terror or chaos reigns. 3. So it is going to be terror. WT1 looks like. So let me grab my world charts. Terror Axe. When you roll a Terror Axe during a Terror Chaos segment of activation phase 2 or 4 on the turn sequence, do all of the following 3 things, then potentially export Terror if there is a rogue counter on the map. Increase the regional crisis in any region containing a rogue state by 1 box. So we're gonna do that. Consolidation of networks in each region where there is at least 2 level 1 terror groups. Remove 1 set of them and replace with 1 level 2 terror group. If the 2 terror groups are on the intel track of the region, put the level 2 terror group on the lower box of the 2. Alright, so we are going to remove those 2 and add a level 2 terror group. Same deal here. So actually I think we're going to do it on the boxes. No, I think we do the ones that aren't on the boxes first. And unfortunately, that one is going to get removed from the track. Those get consolidated. These get consolidated. These get consolidated. And nothing happens there. Alright, so terror groups have been consolidated. Make terror attacks roll on the terror attacks table below. DRMs. +1 per level 3 or 4 terror group on the map. So we got a 1 there. I think that's it currently. Yes, that's going to be a +1. If there's a rogue state on the map, export terror. Roll a d10 to export terror as follows. Oh, okay. So first DRMs. Okay. +1 per level 3 or 4 terror group on the map. There's only 1, so it's going to be a d10 roll +1. 2 + 1 is going to be 3. New terror groups. Create a level 1 terror group in 2 random regions. So first random region is going to be the Middle East. So create a level 1 terror group there. Next random region is going to be 8. It's going to be Africa. So create a... How many can we have? Max 5, so yeah, we're good. Create a terror group there. If there's a rogue state on the map, export terror. Roll a d10 to export terror as follows. Roll a d10. 3. Export to Eurozone. If there is a level 1 or 2 terror group in the Eurozone, randomly increase one such terror group by 1 level. Otherwise, add 1 new level 1 terror group to the Eurozone. We can do that. Level 1 terror group goes into the Eurozone. And that is it for the Terror Acts table. We can now move on. Now we are going to go to another ally rogue group. Excuse me. This one is going to be Group D. Grab our ally rogue states booklet. Go to Group D. This is going to be Canada, Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and rogue states. So first let's see, these allies act only in their region except Canada, who can affect Eurozone or Central or South America. Alright, so we're going to activate Canada. Perform a number of joint actions. Canada is a very close ally, so we're going to do 2 joint actions. Let's see here. So we can first attempt to stabilize a region. So probably, let's go with Central America. So we'll attempt to stabilize Central America. What do we need? 1 through 4, was it? Let's see. Yeah, 1 through 4. D10, if regional crisis is at 0. You know what? Let's do South America, actually. Since their crisis level is 0, we're going to get a -1 DRM. Attempt to stabilize South America. So that's a 7, -1 is 6. That's not going to do it, unfortunately. Let's see. Canada gets 2 intel successes. Let's go ahead and attempt to do an intel joint action for Central America. And what that'll do is it will do... They get 2 successes. So we get to choose 2 terror groups, put them on the intel track, and we are good to go from there. So that was Canada. They do not have any tension markers. So we will go to their unilateral action table. We get a -1 since there's no tension counters. +1 if Russia has an influence in Eurozone. They do, so we got a net of 0 DRMs. +1 per 3 to 4 terror group in the continental United States. There aren't any. +1 if Russia-NATO conflict track is greater than 1. Russia-NATO conflict track is greater than 1, so we got a net of +1 to this roll. Let's see what we got. So 9 + 1 is going to be 10. Joint anti-terror campaign with U.S. Reduce 1 level 1, 2, or 3 terror group in continental United States, Central America, or South America by 1 level. Not bad. Let's go ahead and lower this terror group to a level 1. Oops. And that was Canada. Moving on to Gulf States / Saudi Arabia. They do have some tension counters on them. First thing we're going to do is try to stabilize the region. So they're a very close ally. We get 2 joint actions. So stabilize the region. Need a 1 through 4. Oop, I pressed the wrong button. Let's see. There we go. 1 through 4. Nope, that's 5. Not going to do it. Next thing we can do, we can remove stress. That wouldn't be so bad. We can request humanitarian aid. We might want to request humanitarian aid in the Eurozone, honestly. We're going to have rogue actions. Let's do that. Otherwise, we could remove tension. How much tension do they have? They got 3? 1, 2, 3. You know what? Let's go ahead and remove tension. I don't want them doing anything drastic during their... if they get too high of a roll, they can get a little war happy. Alright, so remove tension. Next, we will reveal. So we got a +1. DRMs for their unilateral action rule. +1 per attention value on them, so that's going to be a 1. +1 half rounded down for their current value of Gulf States RAN conflict track, which is 3. Let's see, rounded down half, so that'll be 1.5, so +1. So that'll be a +2 net currently. And +2 if they are at war. So we have, they are not at war, so D10 +2. It's going to be 7 +2 is going to be 9. Build air naval forces. Increase relative strength versus Iran by 1 in Gulf states Saudi Arabia's favor on the conflict track. So going down here. Increase Gulf State, Saudi Arabia, Iran conflict track status by 1 box. So that's getting a little high. We're going to probably want to do something about that. If this causes war, it's air naval. Gulf States is the attacker, no surprise. So it did not cause war. Getting dangerously close, though. We're probably going to want to lower that conflict. Alright, and let's see here. That was Gulf States, Saudi Arabia. Now we go to rogue activation. Roll a d10. Eight. So North Korea or Iran will act, whichever has more tension, which is going to be Iran, I believe. Let's see. Roll a d10 and consult their action table on Group A for Iran or Group B for North Korea, as if they were rolling on their normal table. Okay, so Group A for Iran. So we will pick up their tension. Let's see. Oh, what was this for? This was Gulf States. So that's going to go, it's going to get replaced by half rounded down, so 0 for them. Okay. So, for Iran, they got a +4. Let's see here. So plus net of tension, so we got a +4. +2 if Israel is currently at war. They are not. +1 if Middle East regional alignment is currently at 6 or higher. It's not. So it is going to be a D10 +4 for Iran's roll, which is 9 +4. Jesus, 13. Launch proxy air land war in the Middle East. Roll D10. Five. Hezbollah versus Israel. Jeez, alright. So, we have to set up a war. Alright. So, it's going to be Israel. Let's see, conflict type, air ground, conflict status, and stalemate. Let's see here, Hezbollah. Let's see, Israel. Israel. Alright, so, launch proxy war. I will now have to go determine strength. It's been a while since I have started or no, I guess I didn't start the war, but um, let's see here. Okay, world charts, determine strength, war progress, place a conflict type counter. Let's see, place country at war counter. Depending on which country is the attacker and which is the defender. If you're unsure, a game does not specify which side is the attacker, start determine that randomly. Okay, so I am unsure. The game does not specify which side is the attacker defender. Actually, I guess since they launched it, I suppose Hezbollah would be the attacker then, so Israel would be the defender. Conflict track. Alright, so now we're going to determine strength. Okay, so air ground war, combined air ground war. 4 allies. Missile naval. Let's see, strength table. Conflict track in the governing war, just blah blah blah. If one side has 0 strength. War's already in progress, it did not involve. Blah blah blah. Let's see here. This number, let's see, if the attacker and defender for the type of war is appropriate, the strength may be given on a card. If not, the following table. If there's a conflict track that governs this war, adjust initial strengths by the current relative strength. 0 strength, blah blah blah. Strength tables. So it looks like Israel has a strength of 8 to start with, if I'm reading this correctly. And Hezbollah has a strength of 3 plus a number of Iranian influence counters in the Middle East, which I don't think there are any. No. So they're going to have a strength of 3. And I think, let's see, Israel neighbors. So if I'm reading this correctly, so I think this goes up here because they are fighting there, and they get a +2 to their strength. So they actually start with 10 then. There we go. Alright, total of US strength from all US units. Determine odds. Okay, so now we're going to do an initial attack. War is kind of like weird in here. So, initial attack, express the attacker strength versus the defender. That's an odds ratio. So, so this is definitely... So the odds here is definitely going to be less than 1 to 1. Okay. Determine any applicable DRMs. Let me find that. There's no surprise. If US war and counters in region, it's not. Let's see. Nope. If US war, US heavy counter, nope, nope. Is 2 or more, it's not. So I don't think there's any DRMs, if I'm reading that correctly. Also, so we are going to roll on the combat table for the initial combat. So I think it's just going to be a D10. It's going to be a 5. 5 through 7. 1 right, both 1 loss. So this is going to be 1 right, since Israel's the defender. And they both take 1 loss, so this goes down to 2. And this goes down to 9. War is still going on, though, unfortunately, so hopefully they can just win next turn, which would be good. But yeah, I think that is it for the launch proxy air-land war. And it was in a blue section, so we're going to add one to Iran's nuke missile track as well. We need to lower that. We need to get that down. So -1 East, Middle East stability. So Middle East is now at the lowest stability again. +2 tensions on Iran and Gulf states, +3 on Israel. I already forgot what it was. +2 tensions on Iran, Gulf states. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3 on Israel. 1, 2, 3. Then we also lose 2 APs. Alright, and that is it for Iran. So we will get rid of all tensions on Iran, including the ones that just popped in. And we will replace it with half rounded up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to replace it with 3. There it goes. Okay, so replace it with 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and that is it for Iran's action. Well, that was fun. So now we're going to have 3 domestic actions. Let me get out my domestic action chart. So we got 3 of these. Pop that there. Alright, so now we have some domestic actions to do. So let's go ahead and start with... let's encourage bipartisan support again. Possibly get it up there as much as possible. So we are going to roll a d6 and see what happens. We'll have to spend an AP for that too. 4, that's going to be no effect. Do we want to spend an AP? Yeah, let's spend an AP to reroll it. 2. Alright, that is going to be a success. So, for the first time in this game, we have moved it all the way to the right. That's not bad. Alright, that might help us with passing this emergency lingering domestic issue thing. Next thing, let's go ahead and attempt to stimulate the economy. Hopefully get that up there. So this is going to be a D10. So again, we need a 3. Let's spend 2 APs to try to ensure that we get that. So improve economy minus 2 APs. So it's going to be a D10 minus 2. Hey, there we go. We didn't even need to spend those APs. So we are going to put a improving token on there, which will boost it up by 1. Still not good, but we're getting back there. All right. So we have one domestic action left. Let's go ahead and let's try to lower that regional crisis. So address domestic crisis. We're going to make a cabinet effectiveness check, which is also not that great, but let's see what we got. So we do have a -1 because address domestic crisis is our #1 cabinet focus. I do not have the domestic focus attribute. Public approval is at 60% or higher, so that's good. So it's going to be a -2. -1 vice president or chief of staff's domestic rating, which is going to be 1. So we got a net of -3 so far, +1 DRM from the current box on the LDI track, which is +1. So we got a net of -2 for this roll. So we got to get a 4 or lower. So D10 minus 2. Perfect, that works. So we lower that domestic crisis. Decrease domestic crisis track by 1 level plus 1 public approval. Nice. Get that up there. And that is it for our domestic actions. Now we're going to draw a crisis chit. And that is going to draw a crisis card. Let's see. China threatens Taiwan over independence talk. Cascading event. Military maneuvers plus 1 regional crisis in Asia Pacific. Ooh, getting back up there. Place 1 tension counter each on China, Japan, Australia, India, and the ROK. So, 1 tension counter on China, Japan, and Australia. China, Japan, Australia, and India and South Korea. And we got 1 trending anti-US marker on US-Chinese relations. And that will go into the cascading event pile. All right. I think I'm going to end it there. My voice is getting a little scratchy. I got a cold coming on, so I think I should probably get to bed as well. So thank you everyone who was watching. That was a difficult run there. That one crisis card that made us lose pretty much all of our economy. That was rough. Thank you, Grilled Cheese Sandies. Appreciate you watching. Thank you very much for taking a look. I hope you enjoyed the game. You went through a bit of a rough phase here. So our economy going down, that was rough. The entire world basically taking a hit to approval, that was rough. That whole thing was just rough. Not passing that legislation, that was rough. That was just a whole bunch of rough rolls. We had so many APs, we are down to 12 now, and we're going to have to spread those 12 across the rest of the turn. But we'll see what we can do. We got a war over here. We're eventually going to have to go to war with this level 1 rogue state, I think. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully we can turn this around a little bit. We'll need to address this conflict track over here as well. But yeah, appreciate the view. Hopefully you enjoyed the game. Hopefully you will come back and take a look at what happens with the rest of the world. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful night, and take care.